For those who are tuning in to my content for the first time, my name is Ali Brathwaite. I am an author, writer, book publisher, and filmmaker. Myself, along with my wife, have authored several books that have gone on to become #1 bestsellers, and we've filmed movies that have sold out theaters. Now, along with this success came a lot of money.
The good news is you're about to make a lot of money.
Now, I'm not going to say that we were wealthy, but we didn't need for anything. But for the life of me, I could not understand one thing.
Where's my money? Where's my money?
It seemed like no matter how much money I made, I still didn't have enough to cover my lifestyle. There were plenty of nights where I tossed and turned in my bed wondering how I was making high six figures, but was still struggling to make ends meet.
Explain it to me one more time. What did you say?
I always believed that the only reason why I was having these financial problems was because I wasn't making enough money. I thought that if I can only come into a large sum of money, that my financial problems would be over.
You're joking, right?
And then it happened. The first novel my wife and I wrote was a hit. I remember the day when over 5,000 copies came to the house. We didn't know where we were going to store all of those books. But unbeknown to us, we were not going to have a storage problem. We couldn't keep the books on the shelves. Bookstores were calling us for more copies. My wife is doing book signings all around the country. I mean, we were literally walking into barbershops and beauty salons and selling out of books in minutes. With all that money coming in, my financial worries were over, or so I thought. Yes, I was able to pay bills. Yes, I was able to pay off my credit card debt and even buy some things that I had my eye on.
I want it all.
But here's where I felt like I was in a scene from Alice in Wonderland, where up was down and down was up. In a few short months, my bank account went from having a few more zeros to zero. Where did all that money go? Up was down was up. My money was up and my debts were down. Now my debts were back up and my money went back down. How did this happen? I'll tell you how it happened. My poor man's mentality is what happened. A poor man's mentality, also referred to as a poverty mentality or the hood mentality, is a way of thinking that keeps individuals trapped in a cycle of financial or personal limitations. It is not tied to someone's actual financial status, but rather to their mindset and to their behaviors. This mentality includes overspending on non-essentials even when in debt. Even when I was in debt, I was spending on unnecessary things like eating out every night, buying the latest iPhone, purchasing the latest camera gear. Even though I had a perfectly fine iPhone and there was nothing wrong with my camera, I just wanted the newest version just to say that I had it, even if it meant that I had to go back into debt.
Rewind that.
Even if it meant that I had to go back into debt.
Short-time thinking, focus on immediate rewards rather than long-time benefits. Ever heard the saying, you can't have your cake and eat it too? My mother used to always tell me that, and I would look at her like she was crazy. I mean, I used to be like, what does that even mean? What it means, and I didn't truly understand what it meant until decades later, was that I can't eat my cake and try to also save it for later. Either I'm going to eat it now, or I'm going to save it for a later time, but I can't do both. The poor mentality says eat it now because tomorrow's not promised. So I'm spending money like there's no tomorrow because, like, what if I die today and I don't get to see tomorrow? How am I going to spend my money if I'm dead? So I'm not thinking about putting some money to the side for the future. I'm not thinking about being moderate in my spending. In fact, if I'm really keeping it 100 with you, most of the money that I spent, it was to impress people. I was trying to keep up with the Joneses. Now, here's an example of what my poor mentality was like. I would walk into a room and I would immediately start to take inventory. A person would pull out their phone and I would say to myself, what kind of phone is that? Is that the iPhone 16 or is that the iPhone 13? Oh, no, that's the iPhone 13. He broke. He ain't got no money. Or I would be in an event with other videographers and I would cut my eye at their camera and I'll be like, oh, he got the Sony A6400. The A6700 is out now. My boy is like 5 years behind. Then I will puff up my chest in pride when I will pull out my Sony A7 IV that was just released this year. And I'll be like, yeah, you see me.
Oh, this old thing, huh?
What, this old thing?
But at the end of the day, our footage looked the same to the client. The client didn't care that the stuff that I shot was shot on the camera that came out this year and that his stuff that he shot came out 4 years ago. All they was concerned was, did we get the shot? And they look almost identical. My poor mentality blinded me to what was really going on. I thought up was down and down was up. How many of y'all know a person who's driving a Mercedes-Benz limited edition, but is still living in the projects?
That's deep.
Or a person who's spending thousands on outfits and sneakers, but won't spend a dime on learning a skill that will help them not only make more money, but it will show them how to make their money grow. The truth is, when I will come across videos like this, I will scroll right past them because I wasn't trying to hear somebody telling me how to spend my money.
Why don't you just get out of here?
Get out of here and save us both a lot of misery.
I mean, it was my money. Man, I should have listened. I cringe now when I think of the thousands that I spent on things that now have no monetary value. Just imagine if I would have invested a fraction of what I blew on frivolous stuff into real estate or stocks.
You didn't listen, but I tried to tell you.
You didn't like it when I tried to tell you what to do.
Instead of having to wake up every day and trying to make $1, I could have been waking up every day to see how my investments were making me $1. Some of us go our whole lives not understanding the rules of money. It hurts my heart every time I say this, but my parents didn't understand the rules of money. They were taught to go to school, get a job, and work until 65, and then collect a retirement check. And guess what? My mother didn't live long enough to see 65, and my father lived 7 years past his retirement age. So that meant that he spent 50 plus years working only to enjoy the fruits of his retirement for 7 years. I have to be the one to break the poor man's mentality in my family. And the first thing I have to do is take an honest assessment of my beliefs. The first thing you have to do is take an honest assessment of your beliefs as it relates to money. Are you all where you want to be financially? If not, that's okay. Take it from me. It's never too late to start getting your mind right about money. If you don't know where to start by downloading The Richest Man in Babylon 2.0. The link is in the description. And until next time, every journey begins with the first step. Take action today. Take your first step.